Good morning and welcome to my live stream. Fight CPS with Bob Pace, your host. This is a worldwide uh, broadcast that goes around and reaches out to people that have issues with dealing with something called CPS. Now, for a lot of you that don't know what CPS is, it stands for what I call the Child Protection System. It's a group of social workers that work together to try to help um, families, or actually to protect families from neglect and abuse. But what has happened is this government aiding entity has gone rogue. Not all of them, but some of them. Now, I just see our first person in the room named Rock. And hello there. Not Rock, Rook. I'm sorry. Rook is Ryan. They're from, their home is in Michigan, I believe. They were traveling down in Ohio and they encountered a bad group of police and social workers in their area. They thought they were homeless. They thought their kids were dirty, and they took their kids, um, and now they're trying to get their family back together and deal with something called CPS. Is that right, Ryan? And by the way, Rook is Ryan, and if Ryan comes on, that's Sheila. So I'm trying to help them. They were just enjoying life with their family and traveling and encountered this big mess. So did I say it right there, Ryan? Did I say it right? It is nice to have you guys on, and hopefully I can help you. Hopefully I can help you. Hi there, Sheila. I guess you're on too. So when you see the Ryan on her Facebook handle, it's actually Sheila. And when you see Rook, that's actually Ryan. They have two Facebook handles, Rook and Ryan. And what can I do for you too? I'm so glad to have you here. I find it's best to deal with people that are have questions for me or comments. If you want to say a question or comment, all you have to do is give me your name and your city and state. And what city in Missouri? Well, okay, your case is in Ohio, correct? You're dealing with Ohio. And what? Hey, Rocky. Rocky is from New York. He has a brother in Virginia that he's been trying to help out who's gone through bad times. So it's good to see you, Rocky. So we have Sheila and Ryan and Rocky in the room, or in the house, as they say it. But I'm here to talk about CPS, a lot of things. Yes, his brother is in Nelson County, Virginia. And his brother's really been taken advantage and abused and sad. It really is. But Rocky and Sheila and Ryan are my regulars, are part of my family, along with about 50 to 75 of you that come here all the time. Now, I've talked to about 2,600 people from around the world. I've talked to someone in every state, sometimes more than one person in each state, as far away as Alaska and Hawaii, as far away as Maine, and then down to Florida and around the states there, Texas, and so forth. I have some regular people, Michael and Aaron in Tennessee. I have Faye in Richmond, Kentucky. I have Christina Reynoso in Las Vegas, Nevada. And then in California, I have a lot of people there. David Hilago from Santa Maria, who had a horrible case in Santa Barbara County where the CPS and the police were very corrupt. And in fact, that was good news because he'd been in this room like you all and encouraged him to hire Mr. Davis, who works for me as my attorney since 2015. And he helped get my children back to wrongfully taken. They were trafficking. You know, CPS is the only legitimate, well, not legitimate, but the only one that gets away with trafficking our children. If they're not in imminent danger, there's no need for them to take them and put them into foster care. And when they do that, they get money. That's why they do it. It's all about money. It's $1 trillion business for the CPS entities that are found in every county and every state. What I was told that I was going to improve from 500 baud per second in my internet speed to 1,000 baud per second, but it seems oh so slow, oh so slow. Um, yeah, are you seeing me okay now, Rocky? Do you see me okay? I see myself. We got some people in the room, which is great. We've got Sheila and Ryan, and Rocky right now is talking. What can I do to help you, Rocky? What can I do to help you? Um, you know, it's interesting. I do this show 3 times a day. Now, I started back in October of 2023. That was 2.5 years ago. And it's a long time. In the old days, I used to do it twice a day. And I thought there's a lot. Now I'm doing it 3 times a day at 8 o'clock in the morning, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and at 6 p.m. at night. Those are all Pacific Coast times. I live here on the west coast of California. I'm south of Los Angeles, a place called Surf City, USA, and about 3 blocks to the beach. It is sunny outside. The surf is up. We got good surf. I'm usually down there checking it out at 4 a.m. in the morning when it's still dark. And if the surf is good enough, I'll go out for an hour and paddle around and get my gills wet. That's something I've been doing all my life. I think I have been surfing for 69 years, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see here. Yeah, 69 years I've been surfing. It's a long time. I've been working since I was 15, and that's 61 years. And um, doing this thing for the last 2.5 years is helping other people. I like to help other people. I've been involved in the Who Am I? I've been involved in Boy Scouts for 50 years. It's actually called Scouts now because they allow girls in there. I've also given my time to the American Red Cross a long time. So they're two entities. I've also given a lot, 25 years to surfing organizations, running surfing contests and being a president of surfing organizations. So those are all volunteer jobs. And now I'm doing a volunteer job of fighting CPS. I wish I'd known my rules when I had my case. I too was a victim. I too was a victim. My children were wrongfully taken into custody. They weren't in danger. But in order for them to get the money, they have to have a child in custody. They get the money from the county gets the money from the state, and then the state gets the money from the federal government. And when they send the money, it's big amounts of money they send. Like the federal government will send every state $1 billion at a time. And then the state will send to the counties, and some states have a lot of counties, like North Carolina has 100 counties, California only has 50. How many counties are in New York? Rocky, how many counties are in New York? Or Sheila and Ryan, how many counties in Michigan? Anyway, um, they'll send millions of dollars from the state to each county. It's $1 trillion business. Trillion. I can't comprehend $1 trillion. I can't comprehend $1 billion. Million I can. Million I can equate to, because one time I was blessed and had my forever job and my forever home and everything until CPS came along and pretty much have ruined me. And I'm struggling. I'm trying to get out on my own. And so I know you guys all are, so I can relate to you. Now, Rocky, I forgot what your brother was convicted of in Nelson County, Virginia. It was a CPS, something to do with CPS, right, Rocky? I can't remember, Rocky. Maybe you could like to share it. Now, where are you at, Ryan and Sheila, with your case? Are your children back with you? Are you still fighting CPS? Did you ever get your car going again? Did you ever get your car? Their car broke down at nighttime, and the police did them wrong. They gave them permission to stay the night overnight in the parking lot, but then the next morning they rounded them up and changed their mind and arrested them from being homeless, I guess. Sometimes people are misjudged. But in this room, I don't misjudge everybody. Everybody is a human being and deserves a right to speak. I live in a society where we have that. That freedom and democracy is something that we should cherish. I know our government at times seems bad. I know that right now we're trying to clean up not only the United States, but we're also cleaning up the world. I cannot believe that we have a leader that's come aboard a second term now. It's amazing. Very, very populated, elected. And he wants to do all these things, those are all his campaign promises. One of them is helping us out in CPS. He's created, I need some water, excuse me. He's created a new government organization last January, a year ago, called DOGE, DOGE, stands for Government Department of Government Efficiency, Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. They're based in Washington, D.C. The area code is 202. You can look them up. They have two numbers, and they actually talk to you. Now, DOGE is at the top of this pyramid of CPS. What it means is that's the last resort that you can go to if you have a problem with CPS. Now, the way it works is that if you're not satisfied with your social worker, you can go to their supervisor. And again, if you're not satisfied with a supervisor, you can go to the director. Now, in my case, the structures was very archaic, very primitive. And I did do that one time because I started off fighting a case myself. Because unfortunately, I wasn't blessed with a lot of money at one time I had. But unfortunately, I've hit hard times when they attacked you. They seem to always attack people. You know, I've talked to 2,600 people in 30 countries and all 50 states. And something they all have in common is low income. Now, there's nothing wrong with low income. I mean, sometimes people have hard times with me. I had my forever job, but lost it. And it wasn't because I was not performing or I was too old. It's because a domino effect of our economy. In 2010, our economy wasn't that great. Now, it seems like from a 2010 to now, which is, wow, that's a long time. That's 15 years, 16 years, going on 16 years. I haven't seen the economy good. In fact, it started really back when the financial institutions collapsed because they're giving out what's called predatory loans. Predatory loans are loans where the lender will jack up your income or your qualification, double it so you qualify for a loan, so that they get their reward, a percentage of the loan. They are rewarded by how many loans they sell. Well, for a long time, and I don't know if it started in 2005, but for a long time that they were giving away loans to anybody, which is wrong because the person may not have a job. They'll make enough for them to pay that loan. And I was led to believe that I had qualified for a home, which I didn't think I qualified for. Now, I was making good money in 2009 and 10. I had started a new job and I was doing quite well. What I mean by quite well, it was good. I was making $250,000, and I guess for whatever reason they decided with a lot of people, and the lender, by the way, was Countrywide. I later sued them. They were bought out by Bank America, which is my bank, and I sued my bank, and they settled for peanuts. I could not afford. I mean, I had tried. I ended with a lot of lawsuits with no income. Now, when I lost my home, I had to quick sell my home to get money to fight CPS. And that was a hard thing to swallow. Your forever home. It took me 45 years to get my home. It was a new home, high voltage ceilings, the push button switches, and it had central vacuum. I was something, and a trash compactor. That was something I never dreamed of. And it was in a private neighborhood with CC&Rs. There's the rules in governments that you can't put up purple curtains or you can't paint your house pink, or anyway, your drain gutter has to be at the right level. And it was a private neighborhood. And I have 6 children, and at that time I had 4 of them living with me. The other ones had grown up or were gone, and I dreamed one day I had a beautiful table that I'd have my family of 8, me and my wife and our kids. We sit at the table for holidays. Well, that never materializes. Okay, yeah, it was 1990. I guess I can't remember sometimes. Thank you, Rocky. The banks collapsed, though. I think the banks collapsed about 2000, Rocky. And when the banks collapsed, the economy was hurt. And I think the economy has been going down since 1990, which now makes it 10. See, we're 20 to 25, and 10, 35 years. 35 years. That is amazing. And I'm glad you shared that with me, Rocky, because I couldn't pinpoint when predatory loans started, but it came to head in 2008 or 9, I think it was, or 7, 2007, I think it came in head. That's right, 2007. And I had investment. Yeah, okay, it was 2008. I'm close, 2007. And I had an investment for my retirement. Unfortunately, I trusted the committee to invest it, and they invested it into stocks. Now, stocks are good things. Don't get me wrong. I wish I had bought Coca Cola and Disney and McDonald's back in the 60s because Coca Cola and McDonald's and Disney have been three stocks that I know of that are great. Today, the greatest stock I think is Nvidia and maybe SpaceX. I don't know if Tesla's a good stock or not anymore. But anyway, when the state of California was going bankrupt in 2010, I had done, I had amassed about $53 million worth of contracts doing roads and highways for the state of California. I had gotten work for the company. That was my commitment to get 10 million. I got 53 million. And I got it at 20% profit. So the owner was really happy. Well, at that time, I had a governor who said, I'll be back. You probably know him. He's a famous actor and a bodybuilder. And yeah, bad divorce. Yes, yes, I know that. Think I experienced it all. That's why I can relate to a lot of you in this room because we all have something in common. And fighting children and hanging on to your children has been a really strong obstacle. Never did I ever think growing up, I never heard about CPS in the 60s or, well, it was 1964, I think it was, when CPS was formed. It was formed by an act of Congress who directed social service to get a group of workers to protect our children from neglect and abuse. It's a good idea. There's no question that's a great idea because children were being abused and neglected. There are lots of horrible stories. It is true. But the pendulum has shifted to the point where they think everybody is bad and they believe everybody that calls in. The hard thing is, yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger, I just was playing a little bit the Rocky, but that was going, I should finish that story because what had happened was when the state of California, I don't know if because he was smoking too many cigars in his budded tent, he refused to use the state capitol in Sacramento to do his operations. He wanted to work out of a Bedouin tent and smoke cigars. He's a nice guy. I met him. I had a road project where he had a home down on Sunset Boulevard across the 405 freeway up in the hills there. And there was a bad turn near his home. I guess he had something to do with it. So we're reconstructing the road and taking the kink out of it. And he came out one day and talked to me. That was before the state of California was going to collapse. I wish I had talked to him ahead of time. I've been very blessed to meet two governors, one that lived down in my neighborhood. And one governor actually helped me, his Lieutenant Governor Mike Kerb helped me get something for a girl that was dating her physical therapy license. She finished, she needed to start a job and a little bit slow. So I just called the governor, and the governor in turn turned me to lieutenant governor. But Arnold Schwarzenegger had to be creative financing of how to keep um, California from collapsing because Detroit was the city and it already did financially collapse. Detroit's the first city in the country that would collapse. It all bears down to the banks closing. Every bank went out of business except Bank of America, which again was my bank. And I had to sue them later in life. That's unreal. I just oh boy. So Schwarzenegger did creative financing. I had about I forgot how many jobs that was, but I had a lot of jobs totaling 53 million to do roads and highways for the state of California. They all were awarded with public funds in place, but he put a temporary hold on that. And he used those money, the $53 million. Plus, he streamlined, who did he streamline? Social services. He fired all the good child protection social workers because they're getting paid too much money back then and they were too old. The problem being is when someone is, I mean, social services in 2010 was fine. I didn't really hear of any reports. It wasn't until after 2010 that social service started going downhill because they went and hired all the young people, which is great. I'm not against that. But you're going to have to hire someone that has no experience. My social worker barely had a high school education. Social workers should have a college degree. They should learn how to take care of their children and their families. They should learn how to put them together because studies have shown that the best children are the best parents are the biological parents. The best parents are. And I'm bringing all this historical facts because I'm trying to be different because every day I talk 3 times a day and I try to present the information differently and try to make it interesting to some of you. And some of you know me for a long time and it may be repetitious. But I was having a lot of tragedy since 2008. 2009 is when I moved to a higher paying job. And then 2010 is when my owner had to close the company down because he couldn't afford it. When you don't have any income in and you're counting on revenue, and $53 million is a lot for the company that hires a lot of people, pays a lot of salaries, pays my salary and everything else. And road construction is a good job, especially at the level I was. It pays well. It pays well. Being a estimator, a senior estimator, or a senior project manager managing the job, or even a construction inspector, senior construction inspecting the job. Those are areas that I did in construction. Mostly public, but I did some private jobs. But those contracts were put on temporary hold. Now I tried to go to the banks in 2010 and they just laughed at me. Oh, we don't give out credit lines anymore. So I couldn't even get them started. And it was illegal. If I asked the owner and he said, well, if we do a lawsuit, it's going to take at least $50,000 retainer just to start the damn thing. I know it's a lot of money, but I don't want to invest 50,000 because I don't have 50,000 to invest. I was counting on those jobs, 53 million. So I suddenly was faced with, I didn't worry because, I'll get a job. I've always had a job. I've been working all my life since 15 and I've already worked a good 40 years. 40, 45 years. So I should be able to get another job. No problem. Well, boy, was I wrong. And it got worse when CPS got me involved because suddenly my name was blacklisted in the internet because, oh, how horrible, you're with CPS. So you must be a criminal. Somehow in 2010 and on up, CPS became very corrupt. Very, very corrupt. And I don't mean every CPS. People say, well, you can't say that. You can't say 50%, 25%. Well, if 2,600 people that have been on my show said that CPS was bad, that's 100% of 2,600 people. But then I got to divide 2,600 people into all the people in the United States, all the people in those 30 countries, and then get a percentage. So that tells me, just ballparking that yeah, it's a small percentage of bad. But I think you have a 50-50 chance to encounter a rogue CPS, one that is strictly about money and puts money before families and will destroy a family. You know, people are struggling with divorce, let's say, or loss of their job, or the economy's bad. And what is CPS? But the composition of CPS, I think the problem was that it was mainly young people with very little experience trying to deal with economic hard times, and our people are caught up with it. Our country, I feel, has turned into a third world country. And you're probably saying, wait a minute, it's supposed to be the best country in the world. Yeah, militaristically, there's no question our country is more superior than any other country, including China, even though they have billions of people. I mean, there's video games. You can sit there and shot down millions of people. That reminds me of how China is. But no, we don't have a middle class anymore. Has anyone noticed that we don't have a middle class? We have poor, and then we have rich. And that is definition of a third world country. You go to Brazil, there's rich and poor. You go to any country, they're classified as third world. Yes, there's a lot of people that are starving, a lot of people in poverty. That has a lot to do with it. But anyway, you're encountering an agency you got to deal with that's been around, since the '60s. Now, protecting our children has been a concern in this country over 400 years ago in the 1600s. In the 1600s, we had a case at Jamestown, Virginia, of a young boy that was being abused by an owner of a shop. And it was investigated by the government then. I think they took care of it. Then there was a lady in the 1800s, and she was really abused. And then it came in the late 1800s when they rounded up the first immigrants in the United States and put them on reservations and took their children, young children, put into boarding schools, private schools, and never seen their families again. Their hair was cut. They couldn't wear their native clothes anymore. They couldn't speak their native language. They couldn't eat their native food. They were trying to assimilate the children into society so they could wipe out the first immigrants. And I'm talking about the Native American Indians. Proud people, very proud people. And we have a law called ICWA that was passed about 150 years from the 1875 to 1978. Congress did something to protect the American Indians, or children, finally, because children being rounded up, forcefully put into boarding homes, taken away from their families. And then when the societies were around in the 1900s, these were private societies that tried to help out children. There was a lot of homeless Indians and so forth because after school they drift back in society. Sad part was they lost their identity and they turned to alcohol. Alcohol has ruined so many Native Indians. They were proud people. They still are proud people. You know, one tribe, the Lakota Sioux in the Black Hills of South Dakota, still owned the Black Hills. That was a treaty. They refused to give up their Black Hills, even though when Custer went in there and discovered gold, and then opened up the country to the rest of the people and destroyed their land. And just recently, a couple years ago, they made a Congress said they want to pay or compensate the Lakota Sioux for taking their land. Lakota Sioux refuses the compensation. I think it's, I don't know, $1 billion or something like that. But the Lakota is so proud today that they refuse to take the money. And how I know a lot of all this, because I'm 25% Lakota Sioux. My tribe is located at the Rosebud Reservation. My great grandmother was there. Remarkable woman. Anyway, children are being rounded up by the first immigrants. And that's interesting because, we're rounding up children. But we're rounding up illegal immigrants. The reason why they're legal, they never learned the language, they never learned the U.S. government, U.S. history, and they never pledged allegiance to our country, like so many of our forefathers did. Now, after the first immigrants, the Native American Indians that came across the land bridge between Asia and Alaska, that there once was land high enough out of the water they walked across, and they settled in Alaska, called the Eskimos. In Canada, they're called the First Nation. Yeah, and then in North America, U.S., I should say, the U.S. are called Native um, Native American Indians. The word Indian, by the way, came from Christopher Columbus identifying the indigenous people on the island in the Caribbean. He never did discover North America. That's where we got the name Indian. And so the American Indian, the word Indian describes the people that were the first immigrants. They're proud people. There's only 50 to 100,000 true-blooded Indians left, like the buffalo. They wanted to kill off the Indians, so they killed all the buffalo, murdered all the buffalo. The buffalo are coming back, and maybe the Indians will. There was a great movement in the 60s and the 70s called AIM, the American Indian Movement. There was a second battle of Wounded Knee in the 70s. There was a peace march in 69, because I was living back there, and they were marching to Washington, D.C., the Native American Indians. Also, there was a time when they did a march to Mount Rushmore. And that's where all the presidents are carved. And that, again, was Indian land. It always has been Indian land. And now, in 1978, American Indians are being returned by CPS to the tribe so the tribe can deal with neglect and abuse, because the tribe is better than the current CPS. CPS, especially with Indians, is very brutal on them, very brutal. And I can tell you right now that the Rosebud Reservation is one of the poorest areas in the United States. A lot poorer than Appalachia or other parts in Arkansas or Virginia or so forth, where there's really poor. And we have a problem with our current immigrations. Now, Europeans, were the next, and the first ones were the Vikings. Everybody thought, oh, it was Plymouth Rock. No, Leif Erikson discovered Nova Scotia up in Canada and moved down to Maine and Rhode Island. Later, there are Vikings where they went as far west as Missouri. They're remnants of Vikings. Now, they never settled. They tried to build homes here, but it's a very hostile country. The Vikings and the Native American Indians didn't get along because you have two factions. Vikings were very warlike for the first 1,000 years. Till later, they turned to farming and turned to Christianity and got rid of their Viking ways. And again, I know a lot about Vikings because the great great grandfather's a Viking from Bergen, Norway. So this is sort of gives you kind of an interesting background of myself. I'm well educated. I have a college degree. I have a really strong background in a lot of different facets. So I can help you with a lot of life skills. But my primary focus is to help you go through. Now, we had a lady named Georgia that was asking, what do I do to get rid of my attorney? Or how do I get rid of my attorney? Or how should I get attorney? A lot of you have to understand that fighting CPS is like open heart surgery. You're going to have a lawyer to win. And I tried it. At first, I tried to fight myself. I was being investigated for a couple years by social workers coming out and making false allegations against me and my family. Did I know? If I knew what I knew then, I would have stopped it all. It was the lay people reporters. See, there's two kinds of reporters, professional and lay people. Professionals are your doctors and lawyers, your school teachers, administrators, nurse, counselors. I don't think the custodians have to recognize CPS. And then the other persons are the caregivers, the firemen, and the policemen. Those are all what's called professional people that, because of their job and working with children, need to recognize abuse and neglect, and they have, by law, report it. If they don't report it, legal action can come against them. And I don't know what kind of legal action is because I haven't found the answer to that. And they get it right about 25% of the time. I'm sorry, 50% of the time. It's the lay people that get right about 25% of the time. And they are your relatives, siblings, friends up the street that work at the store, the gas station, or whatnot. Those people get right 25% of the time. And that's what was in my case. What was happening is when I lost my job and I wasn't getting a job anytime soon, my in-laws, my wife's mother, father, her three sisters and brother were constantly calling in every week from Ohio to California, stating that we weren't feeding our children, we weren't housing our children, we weren't bathing our children, we weren't clothing our children, that we weren't taking them to school. And every time a CPS worker came out and says, I'm here to investigate that you're not taking your kids to school. Well, that's an easy one to solve. I just pull up the report card and say, see their grades? They're all A's and B's, and they're in an accelerated school. Our three children were in one of the newest elementary schools. It's surrounded by $1 to $2 million homes. And at that time, my home wasn't that much money. It did later eventually got to 7 digit. But the school was state of the art. It had glass walls so that the administrators could walk down the hallways and look into the teacher teaching the class. It felt open. You didn't feel closed in. It wasn't a concrete block classroom. It was modern, state of the art. And they had smart boards, not chalkboards, smart boards, which, use the all kinds of things. They had PowerPoint presentations and they had state art teachers. So our three kids were accelerating and we were very involved with our kids. We went to every open house, every school activity. Our kids were involved in Boy Scouts, in Cub Scouts, in Girl Scouts, in AYSO, which is a program for soccer. They were AYSO Soccers. And I wish I had the funds for Pop Warner football, but I couldn't afford it. I mean, when I lost my job in 2017, I turned to a Spartan lifestyle. I told the family when I came home that I have money saved up, but I got to save it for emergency. And a couple years ago, my retirement was cut in half because I had a bad investment, because the banks failed. When the banks fail, the stock market goes down. Now, I know we're really concerned about the war in Iran, and it's necessary war. It's something that's been going on for 40 years. Do you know one time that country, Iran, the girls used to wear skirts and the girls used to work. They used to drive, used to be doctors and lawyers. That country was ultra modern. But sad to say, the leader at that time was a dictatorship. And it's, there's some talk about his son coming aboard. And I really don't know what to do there. But all I know is that we can't live with a radical person that can develop a bomb. And all it takes is one, and we're gone. We're gone. The world is gone. So, anyway, going back to the key to keep your kids or bring your kids back is you need to get that lawyer. And I have a lawyer that works for me. His name is Vincent W. Davis. And he helped David Helago just recently get his daughter back. He's 10 years old, but David, again, had a layperson report. It was his in-laws said that he was doing something appropriate to his daughter. And that is typical. All men have that risk of being accused of doing something appropriate to their daughter. And some do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying do, but not every man molests their daughter. Not every man is bad. Not every family's bad. But my CPS case was ridiculous because I was, you know, broke, low income. I should have got an attorney, and I didn't. And that's the key to success. Now, Vincent Davis can be contacted at 888-888-6582. It's a number going across the screen. And he has a website on the screen that says stand.store/attorney VWD. You go there and you'll find all kinds of packages, his phone number again, and how to contact him and everything. His website is vincentwdavis.com. So there are three ways you can approach him. And he was my attorney. He got two of my children back. He helped David get his daughter back, and he had his first visit. David came on the other day and said, I have my first visit with my daughter. Now, that is so good because he's been a part of my show for a good year. And I helped him get an attorney with Vincent Davis, and Vincent Davis got him back, got his daughter back. And so they're the process. It's a 45-day process of getting the daughter full time. But he has first visit. And David said his daughter was happy to see him. His daughter was happy because she's only 10, and children can be so brainwashed into thinking things. Now, I lost one of our daughter because the social worker, the judge, and family members, and this is on my wife's side, encouraged our daughter to divorce mom and dad. California has this ridiculous law that says any child in the state of California, 12 years or older, can divorce their parents anytime they want it. They don't advertise it. Yes, there are bad parents, but parents that are bad can be fixed. They can take parenting classes, program classes, and if not, that there is forced to go to foster care or go to adopted parents. I realize that. But not every parent is bad. Not every child is bad. There's sometimes with bad children too. We need to make sure we grow up our children. All of you that come to this room are so wonderful about your child. There's Lisa in Montana that her ex-husband orchestrated a sham where CPS ignored her, and now she can't see her boy. They wrongfully accused her of criminal charge. She beat them. But because Lisa from Montana was brought up in foster care, she had a bad time growing up. The records kept with her. And I'm trying to tell you, the listening, you need to expunge your records. If you're a child in foster care, when you turn 18, the first thing you do is get a hold of an attorney and have your records cleaned, purged. You should do that anyway if you have criminal charges too, because it's going to come and haunt you. Once there's records, people assume that you're bad. You're a bad seed. No. Everybody in this world, I have faith in. I mean, I really do. I believe in God, and God protects me. And because of his faith, has kept me going. Because of his faith has kept me going. So my show is slowly approaching the end. I have about 10 minutes left here, and I'm trying to wrap up a lot of areas I talked about. I presented a little bit different format, and if I got too far gone into talking a little bit of my life, because a lot of you ask me who I am or what makes me. And to think about it, if a lot of you watch YouTube, how many times do you see somebody on 3 times a day? Even the talk shows, it's once a day. Even the talk shows, it's once a day. Now, I talk 3 times a day, an hour a day. That's 3 hours a day. I don't think there's anybody that does that. I really don't. And if any of my listeners know somebody, let me know. We have people here that help out with CPS, and they talk once a week. We have KK Richardson in New York. that talks about Maniac Mondays. We have Mrs. G that talks about CPS on Wednesdays. Vincent talks on the show, and he talks a lot. He does a lot of free time to help you all. He isn't all about money. In fact, sometimes he lets a lot of things slide. And a lot of people owe him money. And he does a lot of pro bono work. And I'm not saying he's going to do it with every case. So you have nothing to lose by calling him. It's well worth to call him because he can outlay, he has so much valuable information. He's recorded a lot of things on how to do your case. All you have to do is type in Vincent W. Davis and you see hundreds of shows. Same thing with Facebook. You'll see hundreds of shows. Same thing with YouTube. And you'll see mine. Mine are repeated 3 times a day. And a lot of you probably get bored. And I don't blame you. But my heart's in the right place because I care about. Because I have people like Rocky that come back. Now, why does Rocky come back? He doesn't have to. His brother was wrongfully convicted, a big mess in CPS. And I think I think he mentioned he had a bad divorce. No one ever thinks about dealing with CPS. I agree, Rocky. And he comes in here all the time. He's one of the things there. Some new people that I met last week is Ryan and Sheila. And maybe they come in to listen, but they're going through a lot of hoops. And they're having hard times. I don't really know all the issues in there, but being low income is not bad. That doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you can't take care of your children. It just maybe you can't give a child a TV or a computer or games, or maybe you can't go to travel to another country or something there. I've been blessed. I am a world traveler. I've lived in other countries. I've lived in a lot of states. I had 18 years in the military as a Navy dependent. My dad was a fine military man who gave all he could, 33 years to the Navy, to the country. He defended our country. He fought in 3 wars, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Sadly, he's gone. He lived to his late 80s, so that was good. My mom died shortly after because my mom and dad were 2 peas in a pod. They had their golden years. They didn't have to deal with CPS. Unfortunately, I went through 2 marriages and I got married late in life, the first marriage. And first marriage was discouraged because I did not want it to end. I still love my first wife and I still love my firstborn who was taken from me. And my first wife said, "You'll never see your child again." And it's been true. She's been gone since she's 3. She's now in her 30s, late 30s. I guess from following her in social media, she is married. I've seen pictures of her grow up. I did drop by her schooling unannounced to leave messages and books and tried to go to her graduation. I was denied it. It's up to the mother to give out tickets, and I never saw my firstborn graduate. She went to my college. Never saw her graduate. She graduated from college. I do know that. I saw some of her interests. She loved pets. I know she did because I gave her a hamster. And she took care of that little guy. But I am blessed that I met my second wife, and we've been together for 33 years. My first wife, 10, so that's 43 years of marriage experience. But unfortunately, I have to deal with the CPS. I don't want you to make the same mistakes. I've developed 5 rules. Rule 1, get an attorney trained in dependency law, family law, and juvenile law. Those are 3 areas of law you need in there. And they should be able to have a record of fighting CPS. Not only fighting CPS in a criminal matter, but also in a civil matter. You can sue them if they did you wrong. After a case is over, you can sue them, but you need to get that attorney. And Vincent Davis is that attorney that will help you. 888-888-6582. Also, rule 2 is you need to keep track of your documents. You need to organize them in a notebook with tabs. And you need to organize it so you can find things. Your certificate of completion of classes, parenting classes, programs like domestic violence, which is a year-long program, and drug rehab and things like that, drug tests and stuff like that. Also, 2 important documents are the journal, where you write to your kids daily, 15 minutes a day, and you put that journal together and you present it to them when you return, and they get to see what you're going through when a year or 2 goes by. The other document that's so important is a time-long incident log. It's 3 lines. And it's 3 lines where your first line is the date and time, where it took place, was on the phone or an address, and then who was involved. The second line is a summary of what the incident's about. The third is the outcome. Anyway, timeline and the journal are 2 important, along with your notebook, 6 inches thick. Rule 3 is do not talk to social workers. Don't let them in a home. Don't let them take your child. Don't let them inspect your home. They can only do so with a warrant. They can't come to your home. Be quiet. Don't answer the door. Also, in the hospital, at urgent care or an emergency room, watch out. Social workers are lurching. They'll take your child away because you're not medically doing something wrong. They'll wrongfully accuse you. Rule 4 is use the internet wisely. Have the format of your words done rightly. It's city, state, and it's not state, your country, and then the big letters CPS. And then for their filtration, you can put down exactly what you're looking for in CPS. And 5, never give up. Come here first before. Now, I've been already talking about 57 minutes. We started a little bit late. My internet seems to be slow. I'm trying to go to a new one. I'm trying to cut back. I think the problem is that when you cut back, you go cheaper, then the services get worse. I had to because I'm still looking for work. I'm looking for that forever job that I used to have. But as you get older, it gets harder. But I do want you is know that I care. And if any questions you guys have, Sheila, Orion, or Rocky, you 3 are in my room, and I want to thank you all. Ryan and Sheila are from Missouri, and Rocky is from New York, and his brother is from Virginia. And all the rest of my people, the David Helago, the Felicia, the Christina Reynosa, the Faye, Aaron, Michael. There's so many names. I keep forgetting them all, but thank you all for sharing this. And I'll be here again at 1:00 this afternoon. And I will be again here at 6 p.m. So it's on 3 times a day, 8 a.m., 1 p.m., and 3 p.m. And today you learned a little bit more about my life, a little bit more about who the person is, but I truly care. My heart is out there. And I appreciate the emojis you guys leave me, the hearts, the thumbs up, the smiley faces, even the stars. They're great. So this is Bob Pace telling you that I want you to have a great day. Don't give up on your children. Keep fighting for them. That rule number 5 is never give up. There'll be a short video after I sign off. Please watch it. God bless you, and I'll see you at 1:00. Bob Pace signing off.
A vivid picture is encrypted in your mind as the critics get in line like they're witnessing a crime. But but then you notice there's a shiver in your spine from the feelings of discontentment and bitterness combined. Heartbroken when you listen to the judges, another kid's innocence corrupted, and if you go against then it's destructive. Consider this predicament the toughest, but we believe in a system fit for justice. Child Protective Services only pretends to save it. The one solution for this is worthy of instant praises. 30 years of experience with relentless cases. Allow me to introduce them. This is Vincent Davis, defending you when they don't think a mother fits the role. Is it juvenile dependency or government control? Observe the pain in their eyes. It's time for us to realize we are the
last ones left. Put your faith in